We already have our first blockbuster trade of the NBA offseason, and the draft hasn't even begun. Bradley Beal is being shipped out west to Phoenix in exchange for Chris Paul, Landry Shamet, a few second-round picks, and some pick swaps. And being a DC local, I've seen Bradley Beal play several times throughout the years, being a Wizards season ticket holder. I think this trade is pretty strange for both parties. The Wizards, it's weird that you just don't get back a first-round pick in this trade, and to only get some second rounders and a pick swap is kind of not a lot of return on value. So I'm hoping that they get a third team involved, because we're already hearing rumors that Chris Paul is trying to get a return back to LA to play with the LA Clippers. That would be pretty cool. So I don't know who the Wizards could take back. I think the only nice asset to really return is either picks or Terrence Mann, for example. He's really the only young player on the Clippers that I think is of any value at this moment in time. For the Suns, yes, you have another star, but the question is, how do you fill out the rest of the roster? In a salary cap driven league, there's only so much amount of dollars you can give up at the top of the roster, and then the rest have to be veteran minimums. I mean, in this free agency class, you have some pretty good wing defenders who can also shoot. You have Dante DiVincenzo, you have Gary Trent Jr., and then Bruce Brown, who just won a ring with the Denver Nuggets. I thought he could have been a very good piece for this Phoenix Suns team, but now they have to go the veteran minimum route and fill out the rest of the roster. They do have DeAndre Ayton, who right now is slated to stay with the Phoenix Suns, but if they trade him, maybe they can get some more pieces back. We'll see what happens. Obviously, it's a big thing now because Matt Ishbia, since acquiring the Phoenix Suns, has gone basically all in. He got Kevin Durant, he fired their coach, got Frank Vogel in, and now shipped out Chris Paul for Bradley Beal. So he's making a ton of moves, but this obviously rides on the health of Kevin Durant, who hasn't been available since tearing his Achilles. Since 2019, since he tore his Achilles in the NBA Finals, he's played only 137 games out of 308 regular season games. So that's not a lot of games. It's only 44%. So hopefully this season he plays even 60 to 70%. I think that's good enough just to get some chemistry, because this team could be very dangerous. It's very top heavy, but if they can stay together and stay healthy, obviously I think they're a team that can challenge the Denver Nuggets in the Western Conference playoffs. But right now they're all in, and the pressure is on Phoenix to deliver on this move. My ideal fit for Bradley Beal was Miami. I thought that it would have benefited both teams, because the Wizards could have gotten back Duncan Robinson and also Tyler Hero, while the Heat get their star in Bradley Beal, so that could stagger some minutes and take some pressure off of Jimmy Butler, so he wouldn't have to carry the Miami Heat throughout an entire postseason run. But the Wizards decided to go with Phoenix's package, and now I feel like that's an underwhelming amount of return on Bradley Beal's services. So hopefully the Clippers get in on this deal, maybe that they get another third or fourth team involved in this trade to give them more assets. But right now it's definitely underwhelming, and I would give him a D grade for this trade. Will Dawkins, the newly hired GM for the Washington Wizards, has his work cut out for him, because I feel like they've started this rebuild maybe 3 or 4 seasons too late. In 2017, they were just one game away from the Eastern Conference Finals, and they lost. And ever since then, it's basically been a nosedive since then. John Wall suffered countless injuries, eventually tore his Achilles, and he hasn't been the same ever since. Then we saw Bradley Beal kind of take over as the lead guy in DC, put up a ton of nice numbers, but it didn't translate to winning. Only one postseason appearance since 2019. And I thought at least in 2019, if not maybe the fall of 2020 after the bubble season, they had an opportunity to trade Bradley Beal then to teams like the Lakers or the Clippers, whoever was looking for an additional star to round out the roster. I thought Bradley Beal would have been the perfect fit, but they decided to hold on to him, even took on Russell Westbrook, and then that was kind of the beginning of the end, where they were hanging on to this mediocrity where they made postseason runs but were bounced in the first round, or just missing out, but they didn't have a good draft pick to make any good moves and pick up some talented players. If you're not going to make a deep postseason run, I think you should tank the season, at least try to get as many lottery balls as you can and hope that you can win the lottery, get a good draft pick, because the Wizards need that right now. They need talent. The problem is they also missed out on a chance to trade Kyle Kuzma and Kristaps Porzingis, who both have player options for this upcoming summer's free agency, so they could leave for nothing, and they had an opportunity to trade them and get something back on those two players. So the cupboard's looking pretty bare talent-wise for the Wizards, and I think right now the best thing to do is tank and kickstart this rebuild, because right now it's going to be several years before the Wizards even sniff the postseason.